I didn't know him.
No, that's cool.
But his response, the way that he put it out, he put that scripture out and he didn't say anything else before then.
Yeah.
He didn't say it to the point like, okay, I respectfully say, or I asked you.
He didn't give a preface before he went in.
Right.
See, I feel
when I saw it, I was like, hold on, I know why you're saying that. Are you saying that for this reason?
That's true. So you started the investigation early.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So peace and shalom, family. What's going on? I'm out here in Graham.
Yeah, we're in Graham,
North Carolina.
Right.
We went to High Point, North Carolina earlier for the Bible in Black. Mm-hmm. That's what it's called. It's Bible in Black conference. And y'all make sure you hit subscribe if you're new. Hit that thumbs up if you like this video. Right now we're just in relax mode. We're just talking, freestyling, going over some things. We're gonna be on here for a little bit because I want to be able to spend some time with these brothers before I have to leave tomorrow. And tomorrow at 1 we have another session, right? At 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
To what? To about 4, something like that. 5.
I think it's 3.
No, it's probably longer than that because he said they're gonna do the movie, then they're gonna do a panel discussion, and then a Q&A. And then Benaiah said, "Oh, Divine, I don't know if they told you, but they want to pull you onto the panel." That's what he told me. I was like, "What?" So I know nothing about that. I thought I was just coming here to chill. He's like, "No. They, we know you in town, so you have to sit on the outside." But I want to say that I had a great time. I want y'all to see the man behind the moderation, the support. He's been down for a minute. And Hugo, who's like his right hand out here in North Carolina, y'all probably, if y'all didn't see the spiritual combat video that Michael Israel put out yesterday, where he was going over like an extensive book library. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of my books are in storage in New York, and I have a couple at my house in Atlanta, or my apartment in Atlanta. But I have a whole bunch. I have like thousands of ebooks, because it's easier for me to move around with that if I'm going to teach somewhere or share information than having to lug a suitcase with me. Because I know some people that would keep suitcases of books with them when they want to do a lecture or an event. I'm just like, man, that's cool, but that's kind of like inconvenient, especially like in 2019. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna go ahead and share this link real quick, and then I'm gonna introduce the brothers to y'all. So just give me a second. I'm gonna share this link. Let's see. And if y'all seen that video with the brother Chris, who I'm about to introduce y'all to in a second, y'all hit 1 if y'all did that. Oh, we got another video by Vocab Malone. Okay. Yeah, whatever that's about. I'm gonna go ahead and share this, and then we get busy. Man, these brothers, they know their stuff, man. They know their stuff, and they research a lot. They study. I try to let people know. Like, there be people that be jumping in the chat, like, oh, they be like, the people in the chat, they brainwash and they following everything you say. I'm like, nah, that's not true. I just put the information out objectively, and they go back behind it and research it and see that it pans out, because I'm not doing it with an agenda. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have a church where I'm like, oh, I need the members to do A, B, and C for me and believe what I'm saying so I can get paid off their tithes and offerings and stuff like that. It's just that the Most High, has allowed me an opportunity to share the things that I discover and investigate with the community, so that way we can progress forward. Shout out to Dennis McMillan in the building, and Justin Alexander Pereira. What's going on, y'all? Make sure you share this everywhere. Hit the thumbs up. Hit subscribe if you're brand new. You know the routine. The other contact information is up there on the screen. Y'all can see that. Let me just put this out there. Okay. Shout out to Youngster Surfer. What's going on? All right, so I think that should be done. And let me just pop it one more place, and we good to go. There we go. I think this was the backup. Oh, what did I label this as? Oh, it's there. Oh no. Wow, I gotta change that.
Right. I just caught you out.
Yeah, let me go ahead and fix that real quick. Well, let me edit it here. No, let me edit it on here. All right, y'all, give me 1 second. Let me fix this here.
Give it time for everybody to come in.
Yeah. All right, let's see. What is that? Should be here under live. We're in Graham, right? G-R-A.
Oh, H-A-M.
A-H-A-M. Okay.
Dimitri. Thomas Jackson.
All right. Let's fix that. Okay. Okay, so, all right, y'all. So, shout out to Jay Lockhart 25 in the building. Thomas Jackson, Dimitri Elder. Youngster said just surfing through. No doubt, youngster. Hope everything's good on your end, Aki. So let me go ahead and introduce y'all formally. First, to my left, this is somebody I can call my brother, Chris, or as you know him in the chat, the Most High Child Shia Ra. All right. This is my contact here in North Carolina. This dude's been holding down KHM for a while. Came to visit him. Actually, he invited me out. Showed great hospitality, and we had a great event earlier. Looked out for me when I was at the event, and the event went well. Met a lot of people out here in North Carolina, and it's still open. So if y'all in North Carolina, the event tomorrow is at 1 p.m. It's in Greensboro. What's the address? You're gonna get the address for us. And we're gonna post it. And then over to my right. See, over to my right. This is my brother Hugo or Ugo? Ugo Chukwu. All right, this is my brother right here. That I met through Chris, a good brother as well, very knowledgeable as well. We had a bill one time on the phone about a doctrinal issue with the group. And the brother shared some information. I shared some information. We had a good build. And just now, y'all missed it. We also had a good build. Because some of it was personal. We ain't go live just yet. You know what I'm saying? But right now, I'm having a good time talking to these brothers, and me not want to stay up too late. I ain't even getting no sleep, man. I think I got 2 hours of sleep the night before, and then I got maybe 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there, and then I started dozing off at the event. Man, it was really bad, man. And I had to go to the car and get my neck pillow. And I'm glad I was in the back, but I was like, man, I know people are looking like, damn, Divine, man, what's going on with that dude? You all right? You know what I'm saying? So when I tell y'all, I don't really sleep like that. I don't really sleep like that. And in going to events, I don't really have a lot of time to recoup because, a lot of people come up and say, hey, Divine, they want to talk. And me, I'm cool. Like, I'll take time. I'll chat with people or whatnot. But sometimes I don't eat my food. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I don't leave on time. And I'm okay with that. But I just want you to know that I don't purposely just try to ignore people or not address or respond to things. It's just that there's a lot going on. So I do my best. Oh, Cheryl's there. I think I know. Cheryl, hit 1 if I met you at the event today. I think this is the same Cheryl. I'm not sure. Hit 1 if you're who I think you are, Cheryl. Shout out to my brother Sean in the building. What's going on? Dennis, you talking to me? How many words per minute? I'm not typing. Oh, you probably heard me typing when I was putting the thing together. I can type 60 words per minute, 60 to 65 words per minute. Like if I really get serious with it without any errors, because I used to do like a lot of data entry in the previous role. So, I mean, if y'all want to know, there's like a couple of tips y'all can learn from how to do that. But shout out to Dale H in the building, all the way from Los Angeles, California in the building. To Daria Halliburton, what's going on? Shalom to you as well. I'm just chilling here. If y'all got any questions for us, y'all can ask some questions. We can build on some things. Now, he has some books over here that we was just looking at earlier. You want to pick one out that you think is... Oh, wait, before you do that, what's the address on there? Oh, perfect. All right, I'm going to show you the address on the camera real quick. Okay, it's the one here at the bottom. It's at a Seventh-day Adventist Church in 1804 East Market Street.
In Greensboro.
All right, and that's in Greensboro, North Carolina. So if you're out here in North Carolina around the Greensboro area, Raleigh, Durham, Charlotte, High Point, Graham, come out and visit us at this event. You know what I'm saying? I will be there. They told me at the last minute that they're going to put me on the panel. And I wasn't even asking to do that. I just was coming out here to chill with Chris. And Chris put the event together, him and Hugo, and I wanted to support the brothers. And now they're telling me I got to speak on the panel. I don't even know what they're going to talk about, but I think he said he was going to show the Hebrews to Negroes 2 Revelation, and then have a panel discussion, a Q&A, and then sign off. But is that 1 o'clock?
Yeah,
1 o'clock. 1 o'clock. All right. So shout out to Brother Jay in the building. Now, Brother Jay, is a Christian apologist. And he come in here frequently to build. He's cool. Like, he's not one of those, like, bugged out ones, you know what I'm saying, that try to stir up controversy. Like, he's cool. You know what I'm saying? So, so shout out to Brother Jay in the building. So, which one is that?
That's
Which one
my
you pull
favorite.
from the stash? Let's see. The War Scroll. Oh. So,
my favorite.
How many of y'all are familiar with the Dead Sea Scrolls? And we're talking about the extra biblical text outside of the Tanakh that was found there. This is one of them. It's called the War Scroll. I've never seen this book before. I have the War Scroll document itself, but I've never seen a book on it. Wow, it's interesting. Also, it gives you the other scriptures that correlate with it. Not bad. Yeah, so this looks... I would have to take some time to look through this to see how they harmonize it with the other scriptures, but this looks really interesting. Shout out to Noelle Yah in the building. What's going on? How you doing, sis? All right, cool. Now, another one is the so-called Messiah scroll, or the Pierced Messiah scroll. That's the one I brought out in a lecture way back in 2015. You seen this before?
Yeah.
Hugo?
Yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah. It's an interesting book.
I'm gonna go with this one. This one right here. So I'm sure you already like.
Oh yeah.
It's one of my other favorites.
Yeah, I read this before I read the Babylon Timbuktu one.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Oh, you got a placeholder in it?
No, actually, I lent it out and I had somebody reading it because she came by and she wanted to know a little bit more detail. So she got to that part. When I turned back around, I was like, well, I got everybody coming in. We want to be able to just pass it around, look at it, and things of that nature. So, yeah, she's coming back, come pick that up. She's a elder sister, and she just
she lives out here,
right? And she's coming out of Christianity at this point.
Okay.
So, she just wanted a little bit
of knowledge,
right.
Now, was there Christians at the event today or yesterday or both?
No, both.
Interesting.
They were there. I think what happened was towards the break, towards the end. I think it was like right before the Q&A session. What happened was they heard for the break for to come back and go get the snacks and the nabs.
Were they members of that church or just Christians that came out?
Just in general, right? And when they heard that, I think they weren't paying attention.
When they heard which part?
We're gonna take a break. And we're gonna come back and we're gonna finish out. For the Q&A.
So they left.
Right.
So those are the ones that left.
Right. So you remember when you pulled up in the parking lot, got empty, and then you look and you're like, I know that you saw it.
Yeah, no, yeah, I seen it. I was like,
packed.
I was like, because you know why I seen it? Because when we was in the car, like trying to get some rest, I had the live stream still playing, and when I looked, I was like, why is everybody leaving? I was like, where's everybody? And then when I got in there, people thought it was a Q&A, but Ron still had another portion that he was teaching on.
So I think because K,
DP, why you be on so late? Look, it's not intentional, man. If you see how long this day was, that's definitely not intentional. And that event ended earlier because I don't know what time did I leave because not many here before me.
I got home actually before you even got here. So
what time did you remember? What time you got home?
What was it around about? It had to be about. I know by the time I finished cooking everything it was about 9:20 something. So
PM?
Yeah.
Oh man, so I got here after that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So
they ain't let me go, man. I tried to leave, but
I tried to save him, y'all.
But it was good. Yeah, he did.
Look.
But I'm glad I didn't go. Shout out to my brother Yesha Elmore. That brother came out from Durham to come and break bread. If y'all don't know who that is, that's one of the artists that's on the KHM, the Truth Works mixtape. Very good brother, man. Very talented. I was trying to hook him up with a gig so he could be in a film. There's a movie that's coming out that I wanted to hook the brother up because they was telling me they were sourcing for brothers who can rap. And I said, yo, this brother, we know his stuff. Shout out to my brother Yesha Elmore. You're going to support his channel, support his music. Very, very good Israelite music and so forth. Rodney say almost went to bed. Yeah, that's the elder Rodney in the building. What's going on, Rodney? How you doing? Yala Med 77. Shalom to you as well. My brother Brian Hector ESQ in the building. All right, what's going on, man? He said I'm surprised I'm up. I'm surprised you up too, Brian. Surprised you?
Yeah. Wait,
he
look.
He in there sometimes on Fridays, but I'm like, what's Brian doing in there? Yeah, man. So we just building, man. I mean, if y'all have any questions or not, if otherwise we can just build while we sitting here on different things. But I know it's late, and I know I haven't gotten any sleep. And as you can see, somebody got 2 hours of sleep. For some reason, I'm still active and conscious and like, you know what I'm saying? I thought I was gonna be crashed in the bed by now, but I'll go in a few minutes. Unless y'all are dry in the chat and y'all not saying nothing, then in that case, I can just cut the live stream off and finish building with these brothers off screen. If y'all don't want that, hit one. Quick question. Can I pour some more? Or whatever was in there, I'm not sure. It was good. Yeah. I mean, is that what was in there? No, just poured it in there. It was good. Whatever it was. So you see, they trying to fatten me up and give me juice and everything like that. So shout out to Chris's Isha. she actually cooked me up for some food. As you can see what time it is and I'm eating. But again, this is normal for me, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's nobody else's fault. I can't blame nobody for stuff like this. But yeah, y'all holler at us. Oh, they want me to stay on live then. All right, I'll stay on live. All right. So the Reubenite, shout out to Kenneth Watson in the building, excuse me. The Reubenite says, can you explain Judges 5 and 20? Y'all want to bring that up? 5 and 20? Thank you. So we're going to get it for y'all.
Okay. Yeah.
What's it say?
It says,
So he's going to read it. There we go.
they fought from heaven, the stars and their courses fought against Caesarea.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it says.
Oh, that's all it says?
Yeah.
I'm familiar with that verse, but what I would like to do is read it for context. So if you can bring up the whole chapter and just go a couple of verses up. And the Reubenite, yes, you're on the right track, but let's get context. Oh, so Kenneth, so you like that information, right? I pulled that information from a lecture I was supposed to do like 3 years ago on the Divine Council that is still long overdue, but some of that is going to be in the lecture that I do in regards to the name of the creator that I utilize. So I'll go ahead and I'll touch on that. But if you read up a couple of verses, what does it say?
You want verse 18?
Yeah, 17 and 18.
Zebulun and Naphtali were a people that jeopardized their lives unto the death and to the high places of the field.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 19, the kings came and fought, then fought the kings of Canaan and Tanakh by the waters of Megiddo.
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 Is it Megiddo? Let me see.
Is it Megiddo or Megiddo?
Megiddo.
Oh, that's Megiddo. Okay. They took no gain of money.
And then verse 20 goes on to say,
they fought from heaven, the stars and their courses fought against Caesarea.
And then the verse after that, verse 21.
The river of Kishon swept them away. That ancient river, the river Kishon, O my soul, that thou hast trodden down strength. So
in Judges chapter 5, verse 20, you have what's called a parenthetical. So a parenthetical is any additional information that has been asserted that is not typically follow the linear narrative that we're reading there, right? So it's something that somebody added. I'll give you an example of another parenthetical. Another parenthetical is when you read the book of Genesis, you see that Melchizedek comes out of nowhere, and then, you know, Abraham tithes to him, you know what I'm saying? And then he gives Abraham a blessing. So it's believed by scholars that that is a later addition to kind of factor in that understanding at the time of the redaction of Melchizedek and his importance. And when you go into the Dead Sea Scrolls, you see there's a whole Melchizedek scroll that's there, right? So we can see certain features that look like redactions or things that were added for context. That normally it breaks up the flow of the narrative, but it's placed there for additional information. Now, this Judges chapter 5, verse 20 is a very interesting scripture because there's a lot of independent interpretations of it, because again, it does not really flow with the scheme of the narrative, right? So when you read Judges chapter 5, and what I'll do is I'm gonna start at verse 15. And remember, this has to do with Deborah, who was the judge at that time. It says, and the princes of Issachar were with Deborah, as was Issachar, so was Barak. Into the valley they rushed at the heels. Among the divisions of Reuben, there were great resolves of heart. Why did you sit among the sheepfolds to hear the piping for the flocks? Among the divisions of Reuben, there were great searchings of heart. Gilead remained across the Jordan. And why did Dan stay in ships? Asher sat at the seashore and remained by its landings. Zebulun was a people who despised their lives even unto death, and Naphtali also on the high places of the field. So as we can see here, we're going through several tribes that's mentioned here in this text, right? Now, when we get to verse 19, it says, the kings came and fought, then fought the kings of Canaan and Ta'anach, near the waters of Megiddo. They took no plunder in silver. The stars fought from heaven. From their courses, they fought against Sisera. So when you read this, you'll see who Sisera is when you read in the scheme of the story or the narrative of Deborah. But what we see here is something that is figurative. And the stars, saying the stars fought from heaven, is, like you said, it's believed that certain constellations represented certain hosts of heaven. And if these hosts of heaven are moving into position in the heavenly realm, that is going to dictate what happens or what's enacted on the earthly realm. So that's why that was actually inserted there to showcase that there's a heavenly host that's actually fighting against this king who was threatening Israel at the time. So hopefully that gives you some feedback or detail or background information so you can start your research in regards to that particular passage. Shout out to Sheikah Johnson in the building. What's going on? Rodney, I'm going to get to you in 1 second. So Brother Jay, who's my Christian apologist, right, says, do you brothers on the panel live by the law of Moses? Now, y'all want to speak on that real quick before I touch on that? But I'm going to let these brothers handle it.
I mean, I've seen Brother Jay before, and I believe that he understands our position. Here at KHM, you know, we repeatedly said this multiple times. I don't know, like, is it like it's a needle, like, are you like
such a needle on the haystack?
Right, and I'm not trying to be funny, but you know, we get this all the time in the laws of Moses. You know, who was given the law in the first place? When we go in this, when we go right here in the first place, like the commandments. What do you mean by that? I mean, expound on that, because evidently you're looking for something, and I have no issue with addressing it. But I would love for you to go in detail in the reason why you're asking this.
You heard that, Brother Jay? So if you get a moment, you can say that. But let me
And I'm humbly saying that. I don't mean to be rude. I'm just because we get that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just asking, why are you asking? Like, what is your purpose and reason why asking so?
Tell us your motive. So Ugo,
I would like to know why you're saying it. You know what I'm saying? Just as my good friend Chris here said, you know, I need a reason why you're saying it. But
because he wants to know if we're keeping all of the law properly.
But this is what I would say. It's not about, like, for me myself, I wouldn't say that I'm perfect. But as far as keeping the laws of Moses, yes, I keep them. But if I break them, then I repent for them. So I don't know if that's what you mean. So,
but if so, give us more feedback on that. All right. So you give us feedback on it. We'll address it. Just I mean, we're trying to understand the motive so we can address it instead of your intentions. And that way, hopefully, we give you a sufficient answer. But until then, we're just going to move forward. We say, I don't think you see me before, bro. 4 question marks. Was that directed to me, Chris? Who was that directed towards?
Possibly me. So
yeah, Kenneth is saying the same thing. What do you mean by living by the law of Moses?
Right.
So, Brother Jay, as you can see, we kind of peep game, and we're trying to figure out what playbook you're trying to run right now, so we can kind of, you know, like I said, sufficiently answer your question and address that. That question is broad. He says no motive. All right, no motive, but what do you mean by living by the law of Moses? Are you asking, do we keep all the statute, laws, and commandments? Is that what you're asking? If so, you got to be clear on that.
Is he asking, do we keep it perfectly?
Is that something you're talking about?
It seems that way. That's why I'm trying to get clarity off of it, because I see it.
Yeah.
Always the motive behind the question doesn't mean the motive is bad. No, and I agree with that.
It's a simple question, yes or no.
Right.
We can't answer it without more detail. So what do you mean when you say exactly, Kenneth? So Kenneth, I mean, like I said, the chat know the deal.
Right.
And we peep what's going on here. So we just need more clarification. What do you mean by living by the law of Moses? Are you asking, do we keep all the statutes, laws, and commandments that's in the Chumash, or the first 5 books of the Tanakh? Is that what you're asking? Are you saying, I mean, I don't know. Are you saying living by, because you're saying the law of Moses, and that attribution came post-exile. Prior to that, nobody called it the law of Moses because it didn't start with Moses. Matter of fact, let's get scripture. Let's get Genesis, man. So we're gonna go into this. I mean, we're gonna get into it.
Okay. Yeah, you know me. I was about to grab my sword right quick. I skip past the phone
if you want,
but go ahead, because I'm trying to watch it, and I see laughing out loud, Brother Jay. So
I was squinting hard trying to see it on this phone.
Okay.
So you can go get Genesis chapter 26, verse 5. Cush X, I do, but let me address this first. So read Genesis chapter 26, verse 5.
Okay.
Wait, go to verse. Actually, read verse 1 for context, and we'll go down to 5. So Brother Jay, listen to this real quick, okay? Because when you say living by the law of Moses, you got to give us more detail on that, because Moses did not create this law. Right, so go to verse 1, 26, Genesis 26, verse 1.
We live by the Old Testament. That's basically.
But you're saying the same thing,
right?
Though. What do you mean? Do you live by the Old Testament? Explain that. Are you talking about the Old Covenant? Is that what you're saying? Because then I have to ask you: did Yeshua fulfill the entire New Covenant? You have to answer that question. Genesis 26.
I'm sorry.
Kushex, it's all good. If your phone dies, that's cool. Next live stream, which should be this Friday coming up, just join in and you can ask the question, or you can email me, kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. Chris, he's about to read. Yeah, he said the 5 books of Moses. All right, so just go to Genesis 26 and 1.
Okay, so he wants to go. Okay, how do you? I want to chop that up.
Bimelech.
Yeah, Bimelech.
Okay.
Let's see. Let me let you change the. You can keep the. No, actually. Yeah, you can go back down there. You can keep the KJV. So he's gonna read it from the KJV.
But I want this.
Yeah, it's Abimelech.
Okay. Okay. And there was a famine in the land. Beside the first famine, there was the days of Abraham.
Okay.
And Isaac went unto
Abimelech.
Oh
no. Where we at?
At Genesis 26.
26 and verse
1.
Yes. So he went to Gerar to Abimelech. That's what it's saying here in this version.
Yeah, I know. See,
yeah. So he went to Abimelech.
And of king of the Philistines unto Gerar. So what is he saying?
No, keep going. Keep going.
All right. And the Lord appeared unto him and said, go not down into Egypt, dwell in the land which I shall tell of thee. So join in this land, and I will be with thee and will bless thee. For unto thee and unto thy seed I will give all these countries, and I will perform the oath which I swear unto Abraham thy father.
Okay. Verse 4.
Verse 4. And I will make thy seed to multiply as the stars of the heaven. And I will give unto thy seed all of these countries. And in thy seed shall all these nations of the earth be blessed.
Okay, read verse 5 slow.
Because that Abraham
what did he do?
Obeyed my voice.
And
kept my charge.
What? Your charge and your what?
kept my charge, and my commandments,
what else?
And my statutes,
what else?
And my laws.
Wait, slow down. So Abraham obeyed your voice. You know, people say, "Oh, Abraham believed by faith. That was it."
Right.
So I bring him here and say, "Wait a second." It said he obeyed the voice and kept the charge and the commandments and the statutes and the laws. So the question here is, when you're saying, are we living by the law of Moses? I'm saying whatever law you're talking about did not originate with Moses. He did not create that law. There was another re-giving of the law, because apparently Abraham was following something here. Matter of fact, let's go into this a little further. Right, you go to Genesis chapter 26 and verse 5. And if we go in the Hebrew, we see that the word is there for Torah. So that word that we see there for laws is really we Torate, and my laws.
Oh man.
So that word Torah is there. So wait, so Moshe's keeping the Torah? Abraham's keeping the Torah?
Yeah.
Why is Abraham keeping the Torah? That's interesting, because people say the Torah came through Moses, but yet the word there for my laws is we HaTorah.
Wow.
So now we have a situation where we see that Abraham received this information from somewhere, and it was something that was genetically or epigenetically passed down from one generation to another generation. So when you say, do we live by the law of Moses? And this is another thing. People think that there's 613 statutes, laws, and commandments. That number 613 was created by a sage. A sage put that together. But the point is this: all those statute, laws, and commandments, okay, it's fine. He can go back and research. But all the statute, laws, and commandments don't apply to us. I'll give you an example. Do you have a period? Do you have a menstrual flow every? No, I'm keeping it in the book. Wait, hold on.
No, actually, men do have. We just don't. We all do it the same way.
So as men, we don't have a menstrual, menses every month. And one of the laws is, if you have a menstruation, you have to allow a certain amount of time to be set apart. And then after that part is done, you got to be purified and you got to give an offering. Well, guess what? I ain't keeping that statute, that law, that commandment. So I guess I'm breaking the law of Moses, right? No. Certain things cannot apply to you. You can only do what applies to you. So certain things are tied to the land. Certain things are tied to a priesthood or a sacrifice and a temple. And those things are not available. Then you cannot do those things, not because you choose not to do it, but simply because of the diasporan situation that we're in now. There are certain ones that still apply regardless of where we're at, and certain ones that apply when we are tied to the land. So now I'm going to ask you a question. The question I have for you is this: if you're saying, do we keep, or are we living by the law of Moses? And you said generally this is the Old Testament. You got to tell me, what is an Old Testament? Explain that, right? I want to ask you, did Yeshua usher in the New Testament right now? Did he fulfill everything there is to fulfill in the New Testament? Give me Ezekiel chapter 11, verse 19. We're gonna see some things here. We want to ask this question. Yo, Adaya's killing him.
Yo, I seen that. I've been trying to.
He said he had to be right back. It's okay. I think he had to go get backup or something. So Ezekiel chapter 11, verse 19. What does that say?
And I will give them one heart. And I will put a new spirit within them.
Okay, keep going.
And I would take the stony heart.
The stony heart
out of their flesh.
Out of their flesh.
And will give them an heart of flesh.
A heart of flesh. Keep going.
Oh, you can go to
go to the next verse. Any one of y'all can pick up on that.
Right, I'm lost right now.
Ezekiel chapter 11, verse 19. I mean, we can go up a couple of verses for context, but what I'm trying to show you something is this. I want to know if Yeshua fulfilled what's called the New Testament, because if not, then we got a problem. And then I want you to look up that word for testament there. For new. When we see that word New Testament there, we're going to see what that word new is.
Okay.
All right. So go ahead. 20 is.
That they may walk in my statutes.
That they may walk in my statutes. Wait. So you tell me the new commandment is so that I can get the old heart taken away, get a new heart, because the old heart was stone, And the purpose of doing that and giving me that spirit is so I could do what?
Walk in my statutes.
Walk in the statutes. Keep going.
And keep my ordinance.
And keep my order. Whoa, wait.
What is that?
Wait, so you're telling me when I get the spirit and you remove the old heart and give me a new heart, the purpose of it is so that I can do what again? Read verse 20.
Walk in my statutes.
Walk in his statutes. What else?
And keep my ordinance.
And keep his ordinance and keep going.
And do them.
And do them. No. Talk about
Mm.
philosophize about them. Ask questions like, do you keep the statute, laws, and commandments of the Most High? Are you living by the law of Moses? Keep going.
And they shall be my people.
Wait. And they shall be my people. Keep going.
And I will be their God.
Okay, now read the next verse.
But as for them whose heart walketh after the heart of their detestable things and their abominations,
keep going.
I will recompense their way upon their own head.
Slow down. So after those people who decide they're going to do what they want to do, walk after the abominations,
I will recompense their way upon their own
so you
head.
telling me that the New Testament means you got to get rid of my old heart of flesh, stone, give me a heart of flesh, give me the spirit so that I can walk in your statutes and keep and do them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But those who I'm not given that renewed covenant with, and they walk after the abominations, like eat pork, eat swine, because that's an abomination last time I checked, right? Violating the Sabbath, that's last time I checked, that was an abomination, right? So you telling he's going to do what with those people?
I will recompense their way upon their own head.
He's going to repay that what you're doing against him back onto you. So how could the New Testament be devoid of keeping the statute, laws, commandments, where it says specifically that's his purpose? Get Ezekiel chapter 36 and 26. Kenneth, we're going to take it there slowly. I don't know where he went. He disappeared now. Or anybody can pick up the mantle and fight for him. It's all good.
All right.
So Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 26 says what?
Okay. Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 26. A new heart.
Wait, a new heart. Keep going. Now, this is echoing what we just read in Ezekiel chapter 11. Keep going.
A new heart also will give you a new spirit. I put within you. And I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh. And I will give you an heart of flesh.
Okay, read the next verse.
Okay. So
give us a second.
Yeah.
Y'all make sure you hit subscribe, hit the thumbs up, that like button, and share this video everywhere because we getting in it a little bit tonight. All right, so
good. Man,
what happened?
You just cut.
Keep going.
Wait.
Keep going.
Oh man, that was a hard cut.
Okay, keep going.
All right, Ezekiel 36 and 27
says what?
And I will put away my spirit within you and cause you to walk in my statutes.
Wait, to cause you to do what?
To walk in my statutes.
So you telling me the spirit is supposed to cause me to do what?
To walk in my statutes.
Keep going.
And ye shall keep my judgments. Wait a minute.
Keep going. But this is in context. Keep going.
Right.
Keep going.
And do them.
Keep going. So that's the end of that? Let's go to the next verse.
Yeah.
Watch. Keep going.
Wow.
Keep going. Because now the next thing they're gonna say is y'all ain't keeping the judgments. They're gonna be like, oh, y'all not keeping the judgments, but we're gonna get context. We're gonna explain the context of this, right? So keep going. What's the next verse?
Ezekiel 36 and 28
says what?
And ye shall dwell in.
Wait. Y'all slow down, pay attention. And ye shall do what?
And ye shall dwell.
Keep going.
In the land.
That
I gave your fathers.
That he gave your fathers.
And ye shall be my. Hold on.
Keep going.
And ye shall be my people. And I will be your God.
So now we have a situation where when we get this indwelling of the spirit, according to Ezekiel chapter 11 and 19, Ezekiel chapter 36 and 26, it's going to cause us to keep the statutes, the laws, the commandments, the ordinances, and those who do not keep it, he's going to recompense onto them for the abomination they committed. But also this is going to cause us to also keep the judgments when we are back in the land. So my question is, if Ezekiel chapter 11 and 19 and Ezekiel chapter 36 and 26 correlates with this new covenant, New Testament, tell me if Yeshua has fulfilled this yet. Let me know. I don't know if he's going to jump back in here, but I would like to know. So we're going to give him a second, let him regroup, and call the cavalry or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? And with that, we're going to move on to the next question until he come back, because I got like 20 more scriptures that we can add up onto that. Ooh. So let me see what else is in here. Any other questions, y'all, while we wait for Brother Jay? Facts, Noelia. Facts.
Noelle been on something, man, lately. She on it. She on it.
Yeah.
Love that sister right there.
All right. So what's the other question that what you call the acts? Okay. Exodus 32:4. Yes, I got you. I think that was your question, Rodney. Exodus 32:4. Yep, that's your question.
Okay. So Rodney said, remember my question?
Yeah, that's his question.
Okay.
All right, somebody read that.
And he received them at their hand and fashioned it with a graven tool. After he had made it a molten calf, and they said, "These be thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt."
So, Rodney, you said, why did Aaron say, Exodus 32:4, these are the gods who delivered you from Egypt? I've always been puzzled by that statement. They knew better. All right, let me give you a scripture for that. Let me give you a scripture for that. Let me get right here. So let's go to Psalm 103:7. So we're just gonna go through the scriptures tonight. I know some of y'all like that part, so let's just go through the scriptures tonight. Anybody can read that and y'all get it.
You said Psalms 103:7?
Correct. What's it say?
Psalms 103:7
says what?
It says, he made known his ways unto Moses.
Wait, so this is talking about the Most High. He made known his what?
His ways
unto Moses, but what? Keep going.
His acts until the children. Oh man.
But his acts unto the children of Israel. So Moses knew the way, and the children of Israel only knew the acts. The reason why Aharon made that statement is because only Moses was able to speak to the Most High as if they were friends. Because we get to a certain point where Moses had to take the elders with him, go up the mountain, and at some point had to drop the elders off. He had Joshua with him. He had Aharon with him, had to drop them off. So as you elevate in your walk with Yah, at some point, even the closest people with you have to be left aside so you can get closer and hear from Yah directly. So the reason why Aharon was able to do what he did and say, these are the gods that redeemed you out of Egypt, because they only knew the acts. He was referring to an act, not something that you would know through a personal relationship or know the heart of the deity as to why the deity is acting on your behalf. Henceforth, he was only responding based on the acts that they've seen and the previous knowledge that they've had of the deities in which they worship before they came back and right covenant with the Most High. All right. So let's keep going. Let's keep going. Shalom to Donnie Gunter. What's going on? And as you can see, Brother Jay, he's out the door. He's out the building. He's out the street. He's going home. I ain't hear nothing from him coming back. He says Genesis 26 is not the law of Moses. Then tell us what Genesis 26 is. The word Torah is there. Explain that. We just would like to know from you what you mean by that. That's a follow-up for you, Brother Jay, when you get back. All right. So anybody else got any questions, anything like that before we keep building? Because we was getting on the roll, but he went ahead and he disappeared. So if not, I could bring something else up and we can go into something else real quick. Let me look for something. What am I looking for? Jude 1, 5-6. All right. One of y'all can grab that. Shout out to Yaakov James in the building. What's going on? Amas Yahu Israel. What's going on? Virtue Salem to you as well.
Okay, so here we go.
Got it?
All right, Jude 5-6.
Cool.
I will therefore put you in remembrance.
Okay.
So ye once knew this, how that the Lord, and I'm reading it.
No. Go ahead.
I'm just reading it the way that they may see it.
Oh, yeah, you good.
Okay. Having saved the people out of the land of Egypt,
Okay.
afterward destroy them that believe not. And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitations, he have reserved in everlasting chains under darkness until the judgment of that great day.
All right. Shout out to By Hearing and Hearing By. Thank you for joining us again. No need to apologize. You good money with us. So Amas Yahu Israel, what is your question in regard to Jude 1, 5-6? So read it from the New American Standard Bible. Matter of fact, let me read it from the ESV. I'm gonna get it from the ESV. Oh yeah, you got yours up there.
Right, it's over here.
But that's just for the Old Testament.
Right.
Or the Tanakh.
The other one's outside.
Okay, it's cool. We just cool. We can rock it. So it says for certain people have 5. Excuse me. Now I want to remind you, although you once fully knew it, that Yeshua, who saved a people out of the land of Egypt, afterwards destroyed those who did not believe. Now, this is interesting. They have the word Jesus there. Wow. For Jude 1-5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So let me go into the lexicon.
Now I actually see what you do behind the screen.
Yeah. Well, for this, going to the lexicon, or like since I'm at my laptop, I don't have access to all my documents that I have at my desktop. So some things I have to look up here.
But you pull so many references, and I'm like, how does it come out so?
Well, and then I have it right here as my cloud storage, so I have like a whole bunch of documents in here. Matter of fact, I could pull up my lexicons from this as well. But yeah, I just know where to go to get what I need to get.
Right.
So that's interesting here. Read Jude 1-5 again.
Okay. Let's go back in here. All right, y'all. Excuse that some of the wording in here. I'm just reading from what I have on hand right now. Jude 5-6. I will therefore put you in remembrance, though ye once knew this, how that the Lord, having saved the people out of the land of Egypt, afterwards destroying them that believeth not. And the angels.
Oh, okay. That's what he's talking about. I was going to get into verse 5, but he's on my verse 6. All right.
Okay.
So Jude, so Jude 1 and 6 is actually a reference to the book of Enoch. And that's proven by looking at features in the book of Jude, right? So I'll give you an example of one of those things that's in the book of Jude that allude to the book of Enoch. Go to Jude chapter 1, verse 14.
Jude 1:14. And Enoch also, the seventh from Adam, prophesied of these, saying, Behold, the Lord cometh with 10,000 of his saints.
Okay, verse 15.
To execute judgment upon all, and to convince all that are ungodly among them of all their ungodly deeds which they have ungodly committed, and of all their hard speeches with ungodly sinners have spoken against him.
So this reference also can be found in the book of Enoch. So when you go into the Dead Sea Scrolls, you see the book of Enoch is prevalent there, as well as the book of Jubilees. And you also see it in Leviticus. Get Leviticus chapter 16. You can get Leviticus 16. So what I'm demonstrating for you is that the influence of the book of Enoch on the book of Jude. Now, a lot of times, if you try to, like what I used to do when I was a Christian, before I touched into the Dead Sea Scrolls and stuff like that, I used to try to interpret something based on, I guess, somewhere else in the scriptures, but didn't really give you a lot of background information on. One thing that's interesting here where it says, now I want to remind you that although you once fully knew that, then they put the word Jesus in it. Should it be Jesus or Joshua? Because when you read it, and let's say we change it from Jesus to Joshua, it says, now I want to remind you, although you once fully knew it, that Joshua, who saved a people out of the land of Egypt, afterwards destroyed those who did not believe. Who was there delivering the children of Israel after Moshe? Was it Jesus Christ, or was it Yehoshua or Joshua? Who was it that redeemed the children of Israel after Moses passed the baton on? We know Jesus Christ wasn't alive at that time. He wasn't walking around. But you see the play on words. And they do the same thing in the book of Hebrews. They do the same thing where it talks about if at that time Jesus would have given them rest. Well, that's out of context. It should be Joshua would have given them rest after he had gotten them out of the land of Egypt and out of the wilderness and into the land of Canaan, where they were supposed to have rest from their labors. But unfortunately, because they didn't follow all the instructions, there were still some Canaanites that were still left there. And the scripture says that they stayed there to test the Israelites so they can learn how to war. They did not have full peace in the land because, as you read in the book of Judges, they kept repeatedly being attacked. So they didn't get that rest that they were looking for. And hence why the writer of the book of Hebrew is actually speaking that since Joshua was unable to get them rest once he settled them into the land, then we have to look for more of a spiritual or eternal rest. And that's in Yeshua ben Bar Yosef. So you got to be careful with how they translate certain things there by understanding the context, because otherwise it'll throw you off. And you'll be thinking about something that's out of place with what the text is actually saying. So they're actually forcing you to eisegete the text at this point here. Yeah. But the influence. So when you read the book of Enoch, you'll see that there was 200 watchers that made a pact. And according to making that pact, they were to go to earth and mingle with the women and teach them all the sacred arts of the heavens that they wasn't supposed to reveal to them. And as a result, the Creator used an angel to speak to Enoch. And the purpose of that was to cast judgment upon these watchers. And one of the things that the leader of them, which is Azazel, you got Leviticus 16, right? Okay, we can get there in 1 second. Azazel, the text says, ascribe all sin to Azazel. And this will explain what we read in Leviticus chapter 16. So you can see the influence of the book of Enoch. And even maybe not even the book of Enoch, but that type of thought that was going on in the minds of those who were finally redacting this text. You'll see a situation where there's punishment, and Azazel being the rugged one of El. Why? Because his punishment was he was cast into a pit of darkness in the wilderness, and he was covered with rocks, and he was to stay there until his judgment day came. So you'll see in Vayikra chapter 16, this talks about the what? What do we know from Leviticus 16? What is the theme? The scapegoat. Right? That word scapegoat is not there. Somebody added that. We're going to see what that word is. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 16, right? Okay. Hold on, let me get this. So when it's talking about their first estate, the watchers were not designed to intervene, and they chose to do that. So the state that they once had, they lost that. And because of their mingling with women, then this is when the situation was caused where, the Creator says to prophesy to them that ascribe all sin to Azazel. Hence why when the hands are laid upon the scapegoat, and that word scapegoat is not there in the Hebrew, and that goat is sent out to the wilderness, he wanders into the rugged area of the wilderness, and it represents the sins of the people to be casted back upon Azazel, who caused mankind to get further laden with sin by him leading the pack of these 200 watchers to go and teach things unto women. Now, there's a lot of doctrines out there where some people will say, well, those were not really angels, or or like interim beings that weren't really fully angels or fully humans. These were like the sons of Seth going into the daughters of Cain. And then they would say, well, that's how you better explain that. Well, the problem with that is, how do you account for the word scapegoat not being there in the English translation? But when you go back to that original word, the word there is Azazel. So let's get that. Vayikra chapter 16, verse 1 for context.
And the Lord spake unto Moses after the death of the two sons of Aaron, when they offered before the Lord and died. Okay. And the Lord said unto Moses, speak unto Aaron thy brother, that he come not at all times into the holy place within the veil before the mercy seat, which is upon the ark, that he died not. For I will appear.
Where are you at? What verse?
2.
Okay, jump down to verse 6.
And Aaron shall offer his bullock of the sin offering, which is for himself, and make an atonement for himself and for his house.
So slow down. So the bull is a sin offering for who? For Aharon and his household, right? Yeah. Okay, read verse 7.
And he shall take the 2 goats,
2 goats,
and present them before the Lord at the door of the tabernacle.
So we have Yod He Wav He is that word there for Lord. Keep going.
Of the congregation.
Okay.
And Aaron shall cast lots.
Shall do what?
Cast lots.
Cast lots. Cool. Okay, go ahead.
Upon the 2 goats.
The 2 goats. Okay.
One lot.
Watch this, y'all. 1 lot. What?
1 lot for the Lord.
For Yod He Wav He, and what?
And the other lot for the scapegoat.
For the what?
Oh man,
Scapegoat. That word scapegoat is not there in Hebrew. When you go back to that word, there is Azazel or Azazel, depending upon how you want to pronounce it. So 1 lot for the goat falls to go to the Most High, Yod He Wav He, and the other lot is the scapegoat. No, to another entity called Azazel. And we got to give a goat for Yah and a goat to Azazel. Both of them got to get their offerings because they represent 2 different things. Wow. So keep reading that. Read verse 9.
And Aaron shall bring the goat upon which the Lord's lot fell, and offer him for a sin offering.
So for a sin offering. So now to atone the people of their sins, a goat is utilized as a sin offering on behalf of the people. But the second goat, keep going.
But the goat on which the lot fell to be the scapegoat,
or fell for Azazel, keep going,
shall be presented alive.
Alive. Difference, keep going.
Before the Lord. To make an atonement with him. And to let him go for a scapegoat into the wilderness.
Now slow down. It's interesting because the question would be, why is they giving a goat to another deity? What the heck is going on there? And they didn't slay that goat. That one, leave him alive, because he's going to bear the sins of the people and bring it back to the one that caused mankind to fall deeper into sin. And that is that narrative behind who Azazel was. And when you read the book of Enoch, it gives you some information on that. Now, the problem with the book of Enoch today is that there's 3 versions. You have the Slavonic version, which is like the latest version. You have the Ethiopic version, which are the 2 most complete versions. And then you have the fragmented version, which we had in the Dead Sea Scrolls. The one in the Dead Sea Scrolls is really, I mean, it's hard to decipher because it's fragmented, but we have enough words in there to still make a textual comparison between it, the Slavonic, and the Ethiopic. From my research, the Ethiopic seems to be much better read than the Slavonic. Slavonic would have been a 3rd translation, and the Ethiopic one would have been a secondary translation from Hebrew to Ethiopic, as opposed to Slavonic would be from Hebrew to either Aramaic, Ethiopic, and into Slavonic, right? So you have 1, 2, 3 translations, which means you're going to lose a lot as you go through various translations. But what I'm saying is, the people had this understanding of Enoch and this narrative about Enoch that we see that influences what we're reading here in Leviticus chapter 16 and Jude chapter 1 and verse 6, what the brother asks about in regards to the first estate that the angels left and now they're being chained in everlasting darkness, awaiting for judgment. These are all references that come from the book of Enoch, or that narrative that the people had that was then later on penned down. So hopefully that helps to answer that question for you. There. Go ahead.
So like, I don't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Okay, I got a question. So you see which actual book I have right here, the Sefer.
Yes.
So when you go
pass that to me,
right, and you go into the book of Enoch. So what version would you say that one?
This, I don't know what version that will have. It would have to say it somewhere in the preface or in a footnote.
And that's the one that I've been on for now years. But
Sefer of the Nebi Enoch, also called the Sefer of the prophet of Enoch. Let me see. There's something here that gives us some information on that. Preface.
I mean, the reason why I asked that, family, is because you hear so many different people bring out that the book of Enoch is garbage and throw it away. You got all these different versions. You don't have the right version. So, I'm just curious to look at it.
I don't see where it says that.
And I couldn't.
The only way I could tell is by looking at how this reads. But again, this is still a translation.
Right.
So I can compare the translation because I don't know if it's the Slavonic manuscript or Ethiopic manuscript. I can't match it manuscript for manuscript. Mm-hmm. But translation, I may not be able to either because the translators created their own version that they translated from some manuscript that they're not citing here. Right. So it's kind of difficult for me to even tell you which one this is coming from. Now, I can read it and then read the other versions that I have and see which one this closely aligns with, because there's some textual differences. But that'll take some time to go through all of it in order for me to get to that point. But yeah, I have to get back to you on this one because they didn't make it easy by citing.
Not at all. And that's why I asked you.
This is
right.
All right. So divine is Psalms 82 about the divine council or earthly rulers. Eduardo Jimenez. That's a great question. There's a great divide in regards to that. But that is supposed to be referring to the divine council, Psalm 82. And what happens is divine council, if you're looking at it objectively, and this is why I use academic methodology, so I can ascertain the objectivity of the text and not read into it any kind of presuppositional dogmatic religious understandings, because if I did, then I would say that's something about earthly rulers, as opposed to what the text is conveying in regards to the sons of Elohim or the divine council. Revelation 9, 11 and 15, if you want to get that, Ulo. Just give me a second. Just wanted to lay back a little bit because I wasn't getting no back support.
Say 9:15.
Yeah, Revelation chapter 9, verse 11 to 15.
Oh. Okay, and I got you right here. If y'all can hear me. All right. So Revelations 9 and 15. Mm-hmm. And the four angels were.
Oh, wait, hold on. Before you say it, Brother Jay, you're not blocked because we can see what you're saying, so you're not blocked. But if you don't want to follow up, that's fine. You said catch you Friday, cool. If you want to jump on the panel, Brother Jay, just holler at me, let me know. I'll bring you on the panel and we can have a discussion, all right? But thank you for your question. Hopefully we addressed it to a certain extent, and I look forward to your follow-up, all right? So my bad, Chris, go ahead.
Okay. So Revelations 9 and 15. And the four angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour, in a day, in a month, in a year, for to slay the third part of men. That's 9 and 15, right?
9, 11 to 15.
Oh, 9, 11.
Yeah, chapter 11 to chapter 15.
My apologies.
It's all good. Mika 1, yes, this is live.
13, 11.
So you got Revelation chapter 9, verse 11, right?
9 verse 11. And they had Revelation 9 through 11.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
9, 11 to 15.
9, 11 through 15. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit.
Okay.
Whose name in Hebrew tongues
is Abaddon. Apollyon in Greek.
But in the Greek, the tongue his name is Abaddon. All right. And woe is the past, and behold, there come two woes more hereafter. And the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar, which is before God, saying to the sixth angel, which had the trumpet, loose the four angels, which are bound in the great river of Euphrates. And the fourth angel were loose, which were prepared for an hour, and a day, and a month, and a year, for to slay the third part of men. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000. And I heard the number of them. And thus I saw the horse in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire, and I'll hit me out.
Oh, I'm not even looking at it.
Okay.
But you can stop there. I just trying to figure out what the question is, because we just got a request to read it, but I don't know what the question is on that.
Jason and brimstone, and the heads of the horse were as the head of lions, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone. I don't know where that's going.
I don't know either, but maybe they can give some more feedback. Eduardo Jimenez, what you can do is Michael Heiser had actually did a lecture on the Psalm 82 as far as the divine counsel. And I agree with about 80% of it. So look up the Psalm 82. You can look at it on his website, or there's a lecture that he did on Psalm 82, and he compared the divine counsel element in Psalm 82 and the quoting of Yeshua, and what his understanding was in his day and time, that the people would have understood what he was saying. So go back and check that out, and you'll probably get more information. Some stuff that I would say is a repetition of that, but then there's also some things that I've added from my research and consensus that I add on to that. But he pretty much lays down, it for the most part. You know what I'm saying? So, what if Enoch is actually a woman? What if Enoch is the famous the goddess who took of the children of Nephilim, also called the Nephilim? I mean, anything's a possibility, but can you give us a reference or a source to that? Where is that coming from? We would like to know if you can share that with us. That was extremely left field, but that's cool. Yes, it is One Mind, One Body. Shout out to One Mind, One Body. Y'all spirit in the building. What's going on? Anytime, Eduardo. Definitely check that out to get more feedback on that. Asmaz Yahoo Israel said, did that link up with Jude 1:6? Are you talking about Revelation? Did that link up with Jude? Is that what you're asking? I think that's what you're saying. I seen someone say Azazel was compared to Jesus when it says bind him hand and foot. I don't know what that's about. No, there's no comparison there. That's interesting.
Sean McGee right there. That's a great question right there.
With Yah's territory being in the land of Canaan, how does he interact with us in the diaspora? That's an excellent question, right? So let me see, how can I best respond to that? Just because his territory is in a particular place does not mean that he cannot operate in other territories. Okay, so I know why you're asking that question, Sean, because I know you research and you pay close attention to detail. You're meticulous, right? But he can still operate outside of the region in which he has jurisdiction. At the moment, he has given up that jurisdiction to be trampled down by the Gentiles, or for it to be in the hands of another lease, somebody that has a lease on it right now. Remember, lease are designed to expire. And when that expiration time comes, he's going to take his people in a diaspora and he's going to transplant them back into the territory that he's going to rule and reign from, which people will call Jerusalem, right? So he still has can operate with us, because remember, get Deuteronomy chapter 32 verse 9.
What you looking for? You said Revelations, which?
That was Deuteronomy.
Oh no, he's
okay. So
oh, you telling me? Oh, man, I forgot what scripture I just said.
28 verse 9.
Yes, okay. Deuteronomy 28 verse 9.
Let's see, get to it. All right, Deuteronomy 28 verse 9. And y'all, I'm using these names. I'm reading it as it is right now.
That's cool.
But and the Lord shall establish thee an holy people unto himself,
mm-hmm.
and he hath sworn unto thee,
mm-hmm.
if thou shalt keep thy commandments of the Lord thy God,
mm-hmm.
and walk in his ways.
Wait, you reading Deuteronomy? Oh, I'm sorry. Deuteronomy 32 and 9.
32 and 9.
Yeah, my bad.
No problem, I guess.
Deuteronomy 32 and 9. I'm tired. Forget me.
Look. Deuteronomy 32 and verse 9. And for the Lord proportion is
for Yod Hey Wafe, his portion is who?
Proportion is his people.
Is his people. Keep going.
And Jacob is his lot.
And Jacob is his lot.
Of his inheritance.
Of his inheritance. So he's not limiting himself to just the land. He is also connected to the people. So the sovereignty which he affords the Israelites is based on them keeping the statutes, laws, and commandments while they're in the land that he has allotted to them. But the lot that he has is a people, which means wherever the people go, he can follow. But there's things that must be done also to ensure that a diplomatic relationship is met with other entities operating in other areas, but he still has sovereignty over the people. So therefore, he can still act on the people's behalf no matter where the people are, whether they're in the land or whether they're outside the land, if they're keeping the statutes, laws, and their commandments. So hopefully that begins to answer your question. So land sovereignty is one thing, and sovereignty over the people is another thing. All right.
And one mind and one body, y'all spirit. I know they gotta get back to work. Devon, can you speak on the diffusion of, that some have with Yah and El?
Being two different deities. Yes, but how about this? Y'all gonna have to wait for the lecture. Because I dropped jewels on that here and there, but I'm gonna make y'all wait for the lecture on that. You'll appreciate it when I do the lecture. Now, Bishop Marcial, shout out to Bishop Marcial in the building. Jeshurun in the building, what's going on? The Reubenite in the building, what's up? So Dan Ya'al Yasharala, I was, but I put that project on hold because that is extremely time consuming. But if I'm given enough free time in the future, I will complete that. Because it's not just me. I'm just leading the charge because I came up with the idea, but I'm also relying on other experts in the field to assist with that as well. All right. So are demons fallen angels, or is that a myth? Okay. So do you want to? Yes.
Go ahead. I was about to say it as soon as I heard you say that. I was like,
are you about to go in? Now you can answer if you want. Go ahead. Yeah, you can build.
Well, I ain't gonna say much about it. I'm gonna let you elaborate on it. But from what I know about demons and fallen angels, those are two different, entities.
Correct.
You see what I'm saying? You got the fallen angels, which is, the fallen angel, how can I explain this? Demons come from fallen angels. Demons are the offspring of the fallen angels.
That's one thing. That goes back to the book of Enoch. When you see when the watchers would judge, what was going to happen was their offspring, who were the mighty ones, right? That they will be destroyed either by killing themselves or the people attacking them, and a percentage of their spirits or souls would be trapped in this realm, and they will play a role as an antagonizing entity, right? And people would associate that with demonic behavior, demonic activity. But what I want you to pay attention to, let's get to the book of Deuteronomy. And I want y'all to find a word for demons there. I want to show you something real quick. What's up, Chris? Who, Pastor Kelly Richardson? Yeah, shout out to Pastor Kelly Richardson. What's going on? What's going on? Prove all things. What's going on? Can you explain why we end or close prayer and lay hands in the Messiah name? And then somebody else asked the question is, why aren't the camps doing the same healings and miracles that the apostles did? Dang, y'all not playing tonight, man. You all right?
Yeah, I mean, when I saw that, and I've actually read over that twice, and I don't want to get to a point where we look at the camps and you look at what they actually put on YouTube, or they make a statement, or because majority of the time, sometimes you don't see everything of what they post.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? You see a split and cut.
Correct.
Post, like it may be an hour conversation, but it may be a 15-minute segment what they put on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I don't agree with a lot of doctrine, but I don't do a lot of camp bashing. And the reason being is because we all as a community, we don't know what they do. Now, if you approach and you attend some of their segments, just going out there and meeting up with them, you don't know what they're doing in their privacy if they're, meeting with. So I that's why I stayed away from that question. I'm not one of those individuals. No, I don't agree with a lot of some things that come out, and some things are how they, with different dogmas and things of that nature. But I will say this. I really don't like going up there because I can't tell you what another camp is doing, because they may be doing the work so you don't even know it.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? So I kind of keep that to myself.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna I'm gonna go and get this out for you. I was trying to give y'all an opportunity to provide some feedback and give some input. And I wanted y'all to look up the word demons, or in the what's called the Tanakh, or the Old Testament. And I want to show y'all something real quick in there. All right. So I want y'all to get Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 17. And if you get a moment, Chris, you can grab that for me.
I'm sorry.
No, take your time. It's all good.
Back over here. Okay, so we get
Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 17.
32, verse 17.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Deuteronomy 32 and 17.
Correct.
They sacrifice unto devils. Not to God.
Mm-hmm.
To gods whom they not knew. Salakia. To gods whom they knew not.
Mm-hmm.
To new gods that came newly up, whom your fathers feared not.
No, that's good. So the word there is sometimes that word is translated as devils, or sometimes translated as demons. But the word there in the Hebrew is shedim, right? And you have la shedim, which is the prepositional prefix.
Where you at?
I'm Deuteronomy 32 and 17.
And you said which one was it?
So it says they sacrifice unto devils or demons. Mm-hmm. So what we're going to try to do is understand what is a devil or a demon And this is why I still use the Gesenius lexicon, because it still makes linguistic comparisons between other Semitic languages, right? So if we go to the Gesenius and read what it says there, it says it's only in plural, which is what we read in Deuteronomy 32 and 17 and Psalm 106 and 37, from the root should to rule, hence Lord Master Syriac. It means demon, demonia, since all Jews rightly regarded idols to be demons who allow themselves to be worshipped by men, and that's that word shad that's there, shed that's there. And let's look it up in the BDB. I want to show you something. Hold on, give me a second. Why is this acting up? There we go. Hold on, give me 1 second, y'all.
And I remember you going over this
Before, right?
right. And I know I have notes, but that's because I saw the word, I saw devils, and I'm like, okay. So
all right, so let me grab this here. All right, so when we go into the BDB, it says apparently demon, and it says a loan word from the Assyrian sedu, a protecting spirit, especially of bull colossus. So how does this impact interpretation as it pertains to theology, right? So when you understand that a shad or shed, which we see is only in the plural, which is shedim in both Deuteronomy and Psalms, this has to do with an Assyrian word, which is sedu. Now I have the Assyrian lexicon. It may be in my cloud or maybe in my local storage on my computer at home. But when you look it up, you'll see the bull colossus that we see there that is talking about. These were protecting spirits from a foreign culture, which means that if you sacrifice something unto an entity that is a protecting spirit of another culture, that entity does not have the authority and or jurisdiction to respond to your sacrifice, because it is designed specifically for the culture in which it covenanted with. So this is why when it says they sacrifice to demons, not to Eloha, that's there, lo Eloha, not to Eloha, but not to Elohim, Yedaum, Hadasim, Mikarob, Ba'u lo Se'arum Abotekhem. So we're saying here that they sacrificed the demons not to the Most High Power or not to other Elohim, but they did not know these new entities, and their forefathers did not know or fear them, which means that these spirits that they've been sacrificing to are protecting spirits of other foreign cultures that have nothing to do with the Israelites and or the deity in which they covenanted with. Now, when we read this within context and we go to verse 32, and let me jump at verse, I'll do 16. It says, they stirred him to jealousy with strange gods. With abominations, they provoked him to anger. They sacrificed to protecting spirits that were no gods, to gods they had never known, to new gods that had come recently, whom your fathers have never dreaded. Now, the reason why this is important is because, again, they are doing something that their forefathers before them did not do, because their forefathers did not know about these protecting spirits that they have no common contact with. So when you're doing something like that, these things are not these malicious demons, but these are protecting spirits of other cultures, which means that you are idolizing the nations and the deities that they worship, and hence you are breaking the covenant that you've made with the chief patron deity that delivered the Israelites' forefathers out of Mitzrayim. This is extremely important, and hence why it's good to look at Semitic roots and even loan words from other languages, from other sister Semitic cultures, to get more insight to what certain words mean. Hence why I still use the enhanced BDB and the Gesenius, because they do that. But a lot of newer lexicons, they don't really do that linguistic comparison. So you'd have to research other lexicons in order to see that. So hopefully that begins to give some insight in regards to demons. But now when we get into the Brit Hadashah, the so-called New Testament, there's a different ideology altogether that picks up, because you got to remember, these are post-exilic texts after Israelites have been under several captivities and influenced by, especially by Roman, Greco-Roman, or Persian Greco-Roman culture. So now that understanding of what a demon is takes on another form, especially when this New Testament manuscripts are written in Koine Greek. This is why I prefer the Old Syriac Sinaiticus Palimpsest or the Curiantonian Gospels or something along those lines, because I think that preserves a lot of its Hebrew heritage, or its Aramaic heritage, which the church fathers say was written. The language it was normally written in is either Hebrew Aramaic with the Syriac script, or with the Aramaic block script that the original book of Matthew was written in. And now the other Gospels is, questionable, but we know the book of Matthew, at least as is attested by the church fathers, written in Hebrew or Aramaic. Now, some scholars, they contest that. Some scholars, they agree with that. But I mean, I believe that when you go read it in the Syriac, it tries to preserve as much from that Hebrew Aramaic language in the Syriac letters. All right. So shout out to Mommy Rika in the building. What's going on? Thank you for joining in. Shout out to Sankofa John. What's up? How you doing? It seems that Siddim seems to have a phonetic similarity to the word Shaddai. Yes, it does. However, Shaddai, as we can see there, where we see the D is doubled, that's a feature that we see in Hebrew. And then we had the Yod suffix, which is the possessive construct. And El Shaddai, again, the word shed can also mean breast, right? And when we look at the word Shaddai, that has to do more with the epithet of El, in which the creator is given sustenance to the creation, right? Hence why when the mother is giving breast milk to the baby and providing the baby with sustenance, El is also doing the same thing towards his creation in a figurative sense. All right. All right. So Sheikah Johnson said, which writings are pre-exilic? Are you talking about the Tanakh? Which writings are pre-exilic? It would be any writings before they went into captivity. So we know Nehemiah and Ezra would be post-exilic writing. Esther would be a post-exilic text. And then we have some texts like Daniel and Ezekiel, Daniel that has Aramaic, which we know also would be a post-exilic reproduction, or not an interpolation. That's not good, but I would say maybe redaction in Aramaic, because we have to account for why we have certain parts of Daniel in Aramaic, right? So hopefully that answers that question, if that's what you're asking. So it'll be anything before the Israelites was in captivity, right? Because Ezekiel, as you know, he was writing when he was taken into captivity in 597 BCE, when the Babylonians first came and did their thing. They took a group of Israelites into captivity, and when he was prophesying about another siege that was going to happen in Jerusalem, with more waves of Israelite captives being brought into Babylon. All right. Thanks for posting that One Mind, One Body. Appreciate that. Ashley G, thank you for joining in. Hallelujah. Shout out to Prince of Peace of Israel. Oh yeah, definitely send that to me, Prince of Peace. I would definitely like to take a look at that and see what you've acquired in your research. Definitely. All right. John Mali Lewis. Shout out to John Mali Lewis. One of y'all can get Job 38 and 7. And I'm about to end this in a few minutes, y'all, because otherwise I'll be here for hours. And I want to wrap up with them before I call it quits for the night. But let's get that. Let's get Job 38:7.
Okay. All right. Job 38:7. When the morning stars sang together.
When the morning stars sang together,
and all the sons of God shouted for joy.
Okay. Keep going.
All right. Hold on. Yeah, I don't went to another version. All right. Sorry about that.
It's all good.
So, okay. 38:7. Okay. Or this is 8 right here.
Mm-hmm.
Or who shut up the sea with doors when it break forth, as if it had issued out of the womb. When I made the cloud, the garment, therefore, in the thickness, Salakia, in the thick darkness,
Mm-hmm.
a swallowing band for it.
You can stop there. So going back to verse 7, it says what again?
It said, when the morning stars sang together.
When the morning stars sang together, go ahead.
And all the sons of God.
And all the sons of God did what?
Shouted for joy.
Shouted for joy. And read the next verse.
Or who shut up the sea with doors.
Now jump to verse 4 for context.
Okay. Where wastest thou when I laid the foundations of the earth?
Slow down. So now this is the Creator talking to Job saying, where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? So now he's giving a point of reference to an act that had already taken place. So now he's laying down the foundation of the earth, and keep going. Read the rest of the verse.
Declare, if thou hast understanding.
If you understand that, tell me. Keep going. Verse 5. I threw you off.
This is my fault. I'm sorry, y'all.
It's all good.
So, Job 38:5. Who have laid the measures therefore.
Who laid the measures therefore. Keep going.
If thou knowest.
If you know, keep going.
Or who have stretched thy line upon it.
Keep going. The measuring line. Keep going.
All right, so I had to do this manually. All right. Job 38:6. Whereupon are the foundations therefore fastened, or who laid the cornerstone thereof.
Slow down. So now he's telling you, well, he actually telling Job, where were you when I was laying down the foundation of the earth? Measuring it out, setting things up, laying the cornerstone down. And then he goes on, when the morning stars, right, did what? Verse 7?
In verse 7. And when the morning stars
sang
together.
And what else? And who?
And all the sons.
And all the who?
All the sons of God.
Okay. Shouted
for joy.
So now the question is, who are those individuals in Job chapter 38, verse 7? Those individuals will be who we will say is part of the divine council. Mm-hmm. So when we go back and we read Genesis chapter 1, and we see in Genesis chapter 1 and going at verse 26 when it says, then Elohim said, let us make man. People say, oh, that's the Trinity talking together. The Trinity. Where do you get the Trinity at in Genesis chapter 1? That's not the Trinity. That's the same thing you get in Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, where it says Elohim or bara Elohim, because now we have the verb and the masculine singular, but we have the noun and the masculine plural, which means it's a collective noun, like the word team. Team is singular, but it denotes plurality. Corporation is singular, but it denotes plurality. So it's the same thing. The team won the game, or that's my favorite team, or the team did this and the team did that. You're speaking about a plural entity in the singular sense. It's the same thing here that we're seeing when we look at Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, but when we jump down to verse 20, 6, it says, let us make man. Now we have a situation where now this information is going forth before the council, and him that is the creator is residing over the council. He says, all right, we're making man, but before they even got to the man, when he was laying down a foundation of the earth, they was praising, they was happy, they was joyous. Now something new was occurring when he's creating a man, and here should be rendered as mankind. And now they're like, oh wow, this is something interesting, that we got to do something different now that I wasn't doing when I was forming everything else prior to this creation, where now I got to get involved. I got to get deeply involved in bringing this entity into existence, and then making male and female and telling them to be fruitful and multiply, etc., etc. So hopefully that answers your question on Job chapter 38. Shout out to Dante DeSalle. What happened?
Oh, no, I just we had a sister just come in. I think she pronounced her name as Ashley G. I was going to ask you about this.
Yeah, so I read both versions, the truncated version and the extended version. The extended version has 70 additional verses that talk about hell and stuff like that. So there are more than one attested manuscript for that, and one has a shortened version, one has a more lengthy version. So what typically in textual criticism, what you do is when you have a situation like that, where you have a manuscript that has a longer version and one has a shorter version, the best way to answer that is that the shorter version is the most original, and the longer version is a perspective of whoever the scribe's tradition was, who was copying that manuscript and then added something from tradition and placed it onto the manuscript themselves. That's typically how you deduce things when you do textual criticism. So the question is, Second Esdras is from the Apocrypha, so some circles don't consider it canon. Like, for example, the Protestant Bibles, they no longer have the Apocrypha in it. So that's not considered canon to them. But the Catholic Bibles still do hold the Apocrypha in it because it's considered canon. Because what it does is that it helps to explain prayers for the dead, purgatory, and other doctrines that support what the Catholic Church holds as tradition today. So, I mean, I'm indifferent either way. I mean, you can go for the truncated one, which through textual criticism approach is the more original, or if you feel like the other additional verses helps to enlighten you somehow, that's purely on you. I see Esdras or the Apocrypha as being complementary to the rest of the canon and not really hold the same weight as the canon itself. So I don't know if you're talking about conspiracy, maybe somebody removed something or somebody added something, but you have to look at the manuscripts in which these things are being translated from. All right. Sankofa, that's correct. So Dante DeSalle, you said this may be a low-level question. There's no low-level questions here, unless you're trolling. But you're not trolling, right? So being that you're not trolling, I know it's genuine. So I'm going to address that for you. This may be a low-level question regarding the Sabbath, but is it against Torah to warm food up that's already cooked? This is interesting because I taught on this several times before, and I even had a conversation, well, it's not today anymore, but earlier yesterday with a brother that was asking about the Sabbath and asking a question. So let's just take it like this. Get Exodus chapter 16. You can get Exodus chapter 20, and then I'll get Numbers chapter 15.
All right, so we got Exodus chapter 16.
Correct. I'm going to touch on this real quick. I'm not going to get too in-depth because this can be a lengthy subject matter. But his question is it okay to warm up food that was already cooked? So we're going to address that, right?
Okay, and you said 16, right?
Correct.
All right. Because I'm going to ask you something off camera.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
And I don't want to throw no shots to nobody.
Oh, no, it's all good.
Look, I got to ask you this, but I'm not going to do this right
No,
here.
it's all good. It's all good.
I'm not doing this.
So let me show you something. I think, I'm trying to think if I addressed this in a previous live stream before. I think I have, but let's deal with it, all right? So you got Exodus chapter 16, and let's go to verse 11.
Verse 11. All right. Exodus chapter 16 and verse 11. And the Lord spake.
Wait, I'm sorry. Just jump up. Go to Verse 2.
All right. So we got Exodus chapter 16 and verse 2.
Okay.
And the whole congregation of the children of Israel murmur against Moses. I'm going to bring it down.
Mm-hmm.
And Aaron in the wilderness.
Keep going.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
And the children of Israel said unto them, What to God we had died by the hand of the Lord in the land of Egypt.
Okay.
When we sat by the flesh pots, and when we did eat bread to the full. For ye have brought us forth into the wilderness to kill the whole assembly with hunger. Then the Lord,
Keep going.
okay, and the Lord, Then said the Lord unto Moses.
Now slow down. So I'm gonna end off with this because we got to get into a couple of scriptures for this. But I'm gonna end off here. So if you have any other questions, save it for Friday session or email them to me. If y'all are new to this channel, hit the subscribe button. If you're enjoying the content, hit the thumbs up. The more thumbs up that you hit, the more that this video would be at the top of the list doing search engines and suggestions and so forth. And if you want to contact me, you have the information there. Reach me on social media. And if you want to donate to support this ministry, you have the Patreon, the GoFundMe, the Cash App, and the PayPal on the screen. So I just wanted to shoot that out there for y'all. All right. So go ahead. Now pay attention to this, family. Read verse 4.
Okay, verse 4. Then the Lord said unto Moses, Behold, I will rain bread from the heavens.
Wait, behold, I will do what?
I will rain bread from the heavens.
Okay, now when he says I'm gonna rain bread from heaven, this is figurative language, and we're gonna see why. Go ahead.
For you, and the people shall go out and gather a certain rate every day, that I may prove them.
Slow down. Say it again.
And I'm gonna go back. Okay.
No. Just say that part again.
And the people shall go out and gather a certain rate every day, that I may prove
that
them.
You may do what?
That I may prove.
Wait.
them.
So the purpose of the bread from heaven, what we call manna, is to do what?
That I may prove.
That
them.
I may prove or test them. So wait, are you saying that the bread from heaven was a test for what? Well, we're going to get to Exodus 20 in a second. Read the rest of that.
All right. That I may prove them where they will walk in my law or no.
Slow down. They will walk in my law or not. Well, what is that law? Read the next verse.
Okay. And it shall come to pass that on the sixth day they shall prepare that which they bring in. And it shall be twice as much as they gather daily.
So every day they're to go out and collect this bread from heaven, because the word bread, lechem, bread was a staple in the diet of people in this region at this time. So bread was looked at a item of substance or sustenance, and it was something that people relied on heavily. Now, because they had crude baking methods there at that time, a lot of their bread had grit in it, and the higher quality bread would be bread with the less amount of grit in it because of how you have to grind and pound the flour. But today we take it for granted. We go right to the grocery store. Nobody thinks that when they buy bread, you're going to have, stone grits and rock grits in it. You know what I'm saying? But this is stuff that they had to be subjected to, hence where over time the enamel was worn down, and there would be a lot of rocks that would kick up in their intestinal tracts and so forth. These are struggles that the people had to deal with daily that we today don't have to deal with. So when you think of how essential bread is to their diet, and at the same time how also detrimental it could be to their health, because remember, the reason why yeast rises is that when you go and look at bread, you see these pockets that's inside the bread. That's carbon dioxide that causes the bread to rise, right? So you're looking at something that is a filler that doesn't really have a tremendous amount of nutritional value unless you're making it with nutritional yeast that the people would use, but it would because it would stop the hunger, right? It was an easy way to stop the hunger and get calories for activities. But at the same time, it came with a whole bunch of grit that was baked into the actual bread itself. All right, so go ahead, read verse 5. So every day they collected this, whatever this thing was, they collected, but on the 6th day, they're to get twice as much. Remember, this is a test. Okay, keep going. Verse 6.
In verse 6, and Moses and Aaron said unto all the children of Israel, at even, then ye shall...
Wait, he said at what time?
At evening.
What is that word for evening there? Let's go to it. That word for evening there is the word erev. And what does erev mean? Evening is the twilight period in which the light is transitioning into darkness. Okay. So during that time period, go ahead.
Then ye shall know that the Lord hath brought you out of...
Wait, read that one more time.
Then ye shall know that the Lord hath brought you out from the land of Egypt.
At evening, right? And keep going. And in the morning, what?
And in the morning, then ye shall see the glory of the Lord, for that he heareth your murmurings against the Lord. Now that's important. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what are we, that ye murmur against us?
Okay, I'll pick it up. And Moshe said, when Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh gives you in the evening meat to eat, and in the morning bread. So what are you eating in the evening, Chris?
You eat meat.
No. What are you eating in the morning?
Bread. I'm sorry.
When you eating in the evening?
Meat.
What are you eating in the evening? Meat. What are you eating in the morning?
Bread.
Okay, keep that in mind. All right, because Yod-Heh-Wav has heard your grumbling, that you grumble against him. What are we? Your grumbling is not against us, but against Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh. Then Moshe said to Aaron, say to the whole congregation of the people of Israel, come near before Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, for he has heard your grumblings. And as soon as Aaron spoke to the whole congregation of the people of Israel, they looked toward the wilderness, and behold, the glory of Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh appeared in the cloud. And Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh said to Moshe, I've heard the grumbling of the people. Say to them, at twilight you shall eat meat, and in the morning you shall be filled with bread. Then you shall know that I am Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, your Elohim. Now here's the interesting thing here. All right, it says, I have heard your grumblings at twilight. Now the same word is used there for evening in the previous verses, but it's translated as twilight here. So twilight is relational to the word evening, because the evening is the twilight periods in which lightness transitions to darkness. So it says, at twilight you shall eat meat. So in the evening, when it's transitioned from light into darkness, you shall eat meat. And in the morning, when the darkness is transitioning into light, that period of time, you shall be filled with bread, that you shall know that I am Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, Eloheka, or your power. And the evening quail came up and covered the camp, and in the morning dew lay around the camp. And when the dew had gone up, there was on the face of the wilderness a fine flake-like thing, fine as frost on the ground. When the people of Israel saw it, they said one to another, what is it? For they did not know what it was. And Moshe said to them, it is the bread that Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh is giving you to eat. This is what Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh commanded. Again, he's reinforcing, gather it, each one of you, as much as he can eat. You shall each take an omer, according to the number of persons that each of you has in his tent. So if I have 5 people in my tent, I get 5 omers of whatever this item is. And the people of Israel did so. They gathered some more, some less, depending upon who they had in their household, right? But when they measured it with an omer, whoever that gathered much had nothing left over. That means if you got more than an omer, then that amount that you got that was over, it would diminish. Mm-hmm. Right? And whoever gathered little, they had no lack. Each of them gathered as much as he can eat. So they only, whatever they got, whether it was little or more, you got exactly what you needed to eat. And it says, let no one leave any of it over until morning, that twilight period of time when darkness is transitioning into light. But they did not listen to Moshe. Some left part of it till the morning, and it bred worms and stank, and Moshe was very angry with them. You're supposed to eat and consume everything and not leave anything until the morning, because if you do, it'll rot, it'll stink, and worms will eat it. So morning by morning, they gathered it. That means twilight by twilight, when the darkness is transitioning into light, they gathered this bread 2 omers each. And when all the leaders of the congregation came and told Moshe, and he said to them, this is what Yehoiada commanded. Tomorrow is a solemn rest. Now let's slow down. Tomorrow is a solemn rest, a set-apart Sabbath to Yehoiada. Bake what you will bake, boil what you will boil, and all that is left over laid aside to be kept till the morning. That means the evening before the morning, because this is supposed to represent the Sabbath day. The evening before the morning, he's saying you can bake and you can boil. So some people would say, well, your rest period should start the evening before the daybreak on that Saturday. No, that's not true, because they're told to work on that evening. Bake and boil and lay whatever you're working aside until the morning, because when the morning comes, you cannot work, whether it's in your house or whether it's out in the field. So they laid it aside till the morning as Moses commanded, and it did not stink, and there were no worms in it. And Moses said, eat it today, for today is a set apart, or the Sabbath, to Yehoiada. Today you will not find it in the field. 6 days you shall gather it, but on the 7th day, which is a Sabbath, there will be none. Now watch this. What are they gathering? Are they getting the quail, or are they getting this fine flake-like substance that they're eating? When he's telling them to go and gather this item, what is he referring to? The manna or the quail?
You go. What you think?
Well, I'll keep reading for context then. On the 7th day, some of the people went out to gather, but they found none. So people were still disobeying. Mind you, this was supposed to be a test. And people still went out on the 7th day to say, let me see if I can get this thing, right? So it says they didn't find anything. So Yehoiada said to Moshe, how long will you refuse to keep my commandments and my laws? He's putting that working on Moshe. See, Yehoiada has given you the Sabbath. Therefore, on the 6th day, he gives you what? Bread for 2 days. Remain each of you in his place, and let no one go out of his place on the 7th day to do what? To gather the bread. This has nothing to do with the quails. So this rest period has to do with the daylight portion where you have to go and collect the flakes that's in the field. So the people rested on the 7th day. Now the house of Israel called its name manna. It was like coriander seed, white, and the taste of it was like wafers made with honey. Now watch this. Moshe said, this is what Yehoiada has commanded. That an omer of it be kept throughout your generations, so that they may see the bread which I fed you in the wilderness when I brought you out of the land of Egypt. So the Ark of the Covenant contained 3 items, right? What was one of those 3 items that was in the Ark of the Covenant? You had Aaron's staff, and you had a piece of manna, because that is in relation to what we're reading here, that you're going to keep a portion of it to remind subsequent generations of what the Most High did to test you in the wilderness to see if you would keep his commandment. Now, I'm going to show you how deep this is when we get to Numbers chapter 15. It's so deep because now we're going to see the culmination of them being tested and what had to be done to ensure that they don't fail the test again. So it says, let an omer be kept for the generation so that you can be reminded, etc. So take a jar and put an omer of manna in it to place it before Yehoiada to keep it throughout your generation. So they was able to keep a portion of it. When you go to Exodus chapter 20 and you read the 4th commandment on the Sabbath, what does it say there?
Read Exodus chapter 20, verse 4.
Correct.
Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image.
Are you looking at the 4th commandment, the one for the Sabbath?
One for the Sabbath.
I can grab it for you.
Yeah, let me see. I see.
Okay, so that's Exodus 20. That's going to be verse 8.
Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy.
Okay. Keep going. Next verse.
6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work.
So 6 days you're to labor and do all your work. Okay, keep going.
But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God.
And verse 10. Keep going on that. Verse 10.
In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy maidservant, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within the gates.
And it says, for what? For in 6 days Yah made the heaven and the earth and the sea and all that is in them, and rested on the seventh day. Therefore, Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. So the test is to see if the Israelites will be obedient. And what he did was he took it from a test format and he made it relational to his resting on the seventh day for creation. So when we go to Numbers chapter 15, this is the last one, and then I'm going to end off on this. We're going to see where the Sabbath first started off as a test. And then now we're going to see somebody violate that. And because of such, they're going to face a capital punishment. And then he's going to enact a new ordinance or statute for them to follow because the Sabbath was that important. Now, the question is, so can I heat something up, right? Read Numbers chapter 15, go to verse 36.
And all the congregation brought him without the camp and stoned him with stones, and he died.
Who we talking about right now? Let's jump up. Let's go to verse 32.
And while the children of Israel were in the wilderness, they found a man that gathered sticks upon the Sabbath day.
So a man was gathering sticks on the seventh day. Keep going.
And they that found him gathering sticks brought him unto Moses and Aaron and unto all the congregation. And they put him inward because it was not declared what should be done to him.
Okay, keep going.
And the Lord said unto Moses, the man shall be surely put to death. All the congregation shall stone him with stones without the camp.
Keep going.
And all the congregation brought him without the camp and stoned him with stones.
Okay.
And he died.
Okay.
As the Lord commanded Moses.
Now go to the next verse. Now watch this. Full circle.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying,
what?
Speak unto the children of Israel.
And do what?
And bid them that they make them fringes in the borders of their garments throughout their generations, and that they put upon the fringe of the borders a ribbon of blue.
Now, the reason why that was done is to remind them of the test that they kept failing. And that test that they kept failing was the work that they're performing on the Sabbath, that he told them to prepare the evening before the day, because when a daylight hits, you got to rest and do no labors, because at night, they didn't have artificial light like we had today, so work had to be confined to the household. But you do all your work the day before. You bake and you boil the evening before so you can have something for the next day when it's daylight. So at that time, it's a very laborious task to start a fire. And gathering sticks shows your intention to start a fire. Get Exodus chapter 35 and 3 and end it off with that. And then I can give all the scriptures for context so they can understand if I can heat something up. And we got to understand that we got to put ourselves in a contextual, historical, and cultural position that those people were in at that time, and how that differ from where we're at today. So if you go to Exodus 35 and 3, it says what?
Ye shall kindle no fire throughout your habitations upon the Sabbath day.
Okay. Now, if you go up further, let's go to verse 2. What does it say?
6 days shall work be done, but on the Sabbath day there shall be to you an holy day.
Okay.
A Sabbath of rest to the Lord.
Okay.
Whosoever doeth work therein shall be put to death.
Shall be put to death. I also want y'all to research Shabbaton. Whenever you have the on sound, your cholam and your nun, you have a situation where it is a diminutive, which means we're lessening the value of the word that is being suffixed. So I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. If I say mamacita in Spanish, that's a little mama, right? Because the ita suffix, it makes the word itself a lesser value. So we would say, oh, that's a little mama. Or if I say the word little mama, that's also diminutive there. So the diminutive in regards to the word Shabbat, which means that within that 7th day, that's called the Shabbat, there's a Shabbaton. There's a smaller period of time and when rest is done throughout that 7th cycle of the week. And that is that portion of the day in which the Israelites were tested to see if they will go out and collect the manna. So now in this case, it says, you shall kindle no fire in all your dwelling places on the Sabbath day. Now the question is, if I have food that I already cooked the evening before, and I'm gonna wrap up with this, the evening before, and the next day you want to heat up your food, then the question would be, how much work or effort would it take for you to heat up your food? And is it possible that you could have prepared food the day before, the evening before, that does not require for you to heat up? So you would have to balance it because the text says to keep or to guard the Sabbath, and you would have to discern during that period of time. At that time, they had to gather sticks, and it was a very laborious task. But today, people can pop stuff in the microwave, hit a button, and no fire is being kindled. No sticks have to be gathered. You can have a conventional oven or an electric oven where, again, no fire is kindled, no sticks is gathered. So you got to extract the principle and say, okay, look, I can't do no laborious work because if I throw something on the stove, it can heat up for 10 minutes and be done. Pops it in the microwave, 5 minutes is done. I'm not actually doing any work. But I would challenge you to say, maybe what you can do is either fast during that period of time on that Sabbath, and or prepare food or make food that you can keep over to the next day when you don't have to worry about heating anything up. So hopefully that starts to point you in the right direction on how to discern the application of asking, should we heat food up or warm food up the next day after it's already been cooked the previous day. So hopefully that helps. So with that, family, I'm going to sign off because it's late. And, you know, my support team is getting tired and falling asleep. So, I'm going to wrap up here with y'all. Thank y'all for tuning into the session again. Hit the subscribe button if you're new, or if you've been visiting this channel and haven't done that before. Hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed the content. Again, share this link everywhere so people can get a taste of this information and they can return as well. Thank y'all for your love, your support. Again, I'm out here in Graham, North Carolina. We will be in Greensboro, North Carolina later on today at 1 p.m. And that will be the showing for Hebrews to Negroes 2, the Revelation, as well as a panel discussion that they said they want me on, and as well as Q&A. So come out for that, chill with us, talk with us, vibe with us, and most high willing, we'll be able to make new connections so that way we can be more autonomous, all right? So I love you, family. Thank you for watching. Peace and shalom.